Hey there, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive this evening. I am Dave Valente. Thank you once again for joining us. And let's go through a few administrative items before we bring our guest on this evening. So this week we are having affiliate training in Salt Lake that just wrapped up in Salt Lake City, but we would like to invite you to come to an affiliate support training. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So the affiliate support training, regional affiliate and candidate training, is being held by the LNC, the LP, in all of the regions of the United States. We've already done it in Atlanta. We've already done it in Salt Lake City this weekend. 2 weeks from now, I'd love to see you come meet me at Newport News, Virginia, or Norfolk, Virginia. I'm sorry. Um, uh, I think a week or two after that is going to be in Long Beach, California. The cool thing about this is that there are two tracks that you can do. One is campaign, one is affiliate support. And once you have done the training, you're a certified expert in the field. So, and then the LP is going to continue to create classes that build off of this training. So, it's a great opportunity for you to get trained, meet libertarian activists throughout your region. And in fact, even if you don't live in the region, and maybe perhaps you live in Region 2 or Region 1, that have just had their training and didn't get to that training, you can go to the other regions if you want to. But you visit this website down here, and you can register to become or to come to one of our future trainings. The next thing I'd like to talk about is this off our 50th anniversary. It's coming up. That's going to be August 27th and 28th at the Lake House in Pelican Bay, in the southeastern suburbs of Denver, Colorado. It's a great chance to see some of the history of the party, to meet some of the people who have been involved in the party for 30, 40, 50 years as we go into our anniversary season. So we are really appreciated for all the support that we get, and it'll be a good chance for us to celebrate this year as we go into our 50th year. So please go to 50.lp.org or lp.org/50. Either one will get you to the same place, and you can register to come out to Denver, Colorado. There's 4 hotels that we have in the area that will have shuttle service to the event. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to come out and enjoy time with your fellow libertarians. It's really just a celebration. There's no official business or anything associated with this event. It's just a party for us to celebrate our 50th year. The final piece of information I have before we go into our guest here is the next LNC meeting has been scheduled for September 4th and 5th in Louisville, Kentucky. We had to move the previously scheduled location from Reno, Nevada. We were going to check out the convention site. Unfortunately, that hotel's been booked all the way through October, so we couldn't set up a meeting there. So we've decided to come to Louisville, Kentucky, in the Bluegrass State for the first time ever. So pay attention to the next coming days. We're going to have hotel information about where we're going to be doing the meeting at. And a final word of congratulations to Whitney Bilyeu for being elected the LNC chair to replace Joe Bishop Henchman. Thanks to Ken Molman for his amazing work as interim chair. I understand that he didn't want to continue on as chair, and that's quite fine. And I'm glad we could come to consensus on Whitney. And also congrats to Aaron Adams for taking Whitney's place as the Region 7 representative. So anyway, let's go ahead and bring in my guest, Anthony Welti. How you doing, sir?
Howdy, howdy. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight.
I've been looking forward to it. Buddy.
Yeah. So let's talk. You're an accomplished libertarian activist. You have run for office before, state insurance commissioner of Washington State. You set records. You actually got more votes running in this race than Joe Jorgensen and Gary Johnson combined of the last 2 elections, presidential votes. So, and you did things that such as raising a ton of money and doing things that most libertarian campaigns don't do. and I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about that. You've also been Spike Cohen's campaign manager, and did work with him, and you're a state board member and had helped found a county party in Washington State. So you're very accomplished, and we'll get into some of that. So tell us a little bit more about your background, your non-LP stuff that you do.
Yeah, well, I'm a homeschool dad, which is one of my favorite things, and I live in a travel trailer, full time. It's something my wife and I did a couple years back while I was running for office as a way to truly commit our life to liberty, or the pursuit of liberty, rather, and also creating liberty for ourselves along the way. So we live a very unique and interesting lifestyle, but it's one that's been very empowering to really just bringing happiness to us. So we're really blessed to be doing what we're doing right now, and I'm enjoying getting to meet people through the Libertarian Party and learn from them, and then in turn just kind of pass on my experiences to others, because I have been busy, but I would say moderately successful, if not accomplished. So mostly just out digging ditches like the rest of you all, just trying to put in work where I can, how I can.
Excellent. I think you're underselling yourself a little bit. I think you've done quite a bit in your time with the LP. So tell us a little bit about your family. You said that you have a wife and a son. Now you're in a travel trailer full time. Doing homeschool and everything like that. How's that working out?
It's a blast. My wife is a great, not only a great support system, but she's an encourager for a lot of what we're doing right now. Her willingness to kind of think outside the box and entertain ideas of, alternative housing and such is what really kind of helped spur, some of what the lifestyle is that we're doing now. Whereas I was more of a traditional, like, white picket fence and get the mortgage and stuff. Yeah. So she really is a catalyst, a lot of this. And, my son Uriah, he's 6 years old. I don't talk about him a lot on social media, which is one of the fun parts about traveling. If you've met me out on the campaign tour, or anywhere out with my family, my family's basically why I do this. But he's a big fan of the Tuttle twins, and he's got a touch of nationalism already, though. He loves the American flag, so we gotta make sure that stays on the right track. But, right. But he's a good kid. I'm enjoying being a dad and a husband.
Excellent. So tell me about your libertarian origin story. How did you become a libertarian?
Well, I'm not a Ron Paul libertarian. That's where I'm very much different than a lot. Obama made me libertarian. I was an insurance agent when Obamacare came out. And just right about that time is when I'd first kind of started distrusting government. And having voted for Obama, in 2008, by the time 2010 came around, he had, failed to pardon Snowden or Assange, which are some things that he had, promised liberal voters like myself, to protect whistleblowers. Right. And he hadn't done those things. And, then I see him creeping into healthcare, and, as an insurance agent, I saw what a cozy deal that was going to be for the insurance companies. And I was wait a second, that's not going to work. And I stumbled, basically I decided that I wasn't going to blindly vote anymore. And I wanted to look into other options. And I literally just Googled political parties. And I read up about Roseanne Barr, and I read up about the Green Party, and, a little bit of Ross Perot and libertarianism. And I kind of stumbled across, along Gary Johnson in 2012. And at that point, it was really just like, this guy feels different than a greasy politician. And I probably voted for him, and really haven't looked back since.
Yeah, I came on right around that same time with the LP, with Gary Johnson's campaign. Actually, he used to be my governor back in the day. Yes. So I was familiar with him and knew he was much more different than the Republican retreads that they were running in the GOP back in 2008, 2012. So, but yeah, that's awesome.
And back then I didn't know up from down, right? When it comes to political stuff. I didn't know what it meant to be a delegate, or what a political convention was, or anything of that nature. But something that I saw a video of was, how many people actually end up voting for what percentage of the population ends up voting for the winning presidential candidate. And it's some like astronomically low percentage, like 8 or 9% of the population actually votes for the winner. And I was like, well, that's just weird that 9% of the people get to rule over everybody else. And that was,
Exactly.
kind of took me to that more of a libertarian thought than just like, well, I don't like this politician, I'm going to look for somebody different.
Yeah. Yeah. So you are going to be doing a multi-state tour that starts in Westport, Washington State,
Yep.
and going all the way to Key West, Florida. So you
Yeah,
are
man.
almost
It's
like,
gonna be
I
a trip.
think that's probably one of the longest, cross-country trips you can do in the United States. Either that or Maine to San Diego. But so why are you doing it?
I want to talk about liberty to as many people as possible. I want to learn about as many people as possible, and learn about their problems, and how it differs from my little neck of the woods in the Pacific Northwest, and I want to help as many libertarians as I can, to be encouraged and empowered to get more involved, and to really just help be a friend within this movement to as many people as possible, because at times I think being a libertarian can be a bit lonely, right? When maybe you're in an area where there's only 3 or 4 libertarians, and nobody's really run for office before, and so we're out on this journey, as a family, trying to partly decide where we want to buy land and settle our family for the rest of our lives, or potentially the rest of our lives, and being able to do work for liberty while we're doing it, right? And really meshing our these 2 different worlds into one. I'm a big proponent of, there's no one right way to do this liberty stuff, right? If there was, we would have already found it, and it would have won, right, 1,000 times over. So it's a little bit of a play on words to really what the journey I'm on with, and traveling all these different roads and going these different places, and really just seeing what's down there, right? And what works and what doesn't work, and, what relationships we can build, and, how we can help people, on these different roads and in these different communities. And I'm excited. It's really quite a blessing so far. I just got done doing kind of Washington to Arizona and California and Nevada. Did some outreach with the Nevada libertarians, and got to participate in a bunch of the Arizona and California stuff, and spoke at a couple of their events. And it's really what it's about for me right now is just sharing, what little success I've had in the grand scheme of things, and passing on those lessons to hopefully make things a bit easier on people, right? So they can learn from those trials and those failures, and really just to encourage people.
We do have a question from Precinct Committeeman Ken Mattis. Will you be appearing anywhere in Illinois?
I am coming to Illinois. That's on the schedule. I was hopeful to be in town for the Illinois State Convention, actually. I'm not 100% sure my schedule is going to allow for me to be at that event, but I am going to be there right around it. So I'd love to, meet up with folks. And my website, theroadtoliberty.com, will have my calendar and list of stops, campaign, kind of tour stops. And really, what I want to do is make this tour about you guys, right? What I want to do is come into your communities, your little county chapters, and just show up and help, right? Whether it be doing a sign wave, or some political outreach with you, or talking about libertarianism at a meeting, or doing some coaching on how to grow your county affiliate, or help your candidates.
Yeah.
I'm coming to your area, and would love to book an event with you.
Excellent. So how would they book an event? How do they reach you?
There's a spot down there where you can do coaching, and you can kind of click a link, and it'll take you into a candidate training, or speaker, or county affiliate training type contact me button. So there's a really good option on there for that. Yeah, right there. There you go. Go back
There it
up.
is.
Well, so you can go up just a little bit more. Boom.
There we go. Candidate mentoring. And here's the great thing. We're famous for saying Tan Staffel, but there is free training.
Yeah, and I was a corporate trainer for a long time. I used to work for Washington Mutual as a corporate trainer. I helped open a call center in a foreign country, kind of built it from the ground up, training their trading staff and then training their bankers. And my hobby is to coach jujitsu. That's my true passion is jujitsu because uh, it's such a peaceful sport and has really helped me grow in my life. But taking that coaching background and that teaching background and applying it to libertarians, in our efforts, right, growing the infrastructure of this party, right. If you look at the Republican or Democratic parties and their candidates, they've got a plethora of resources, data companies, text banking services, phone banking services, campaign managers, experienced staff members, all across the country. And while a lot of that, I think we would all agree is kind of corrupt and part of the broken system, there is a reality that here in our political party, that we don't have as much experience, right? We don't have as much institutional experience. So I just want to pass on what I've learned as a candidate, as a political activist, and help those that are newer to the movement. And because I like teaching, I like coaching, I like helping. So it's a blessing to me to be able to do this, and we're doing it for free. I'm not trying to charge candidates, candidates that are having a hard time raising money, right?
Yeah.
I actually want to go in and help them raise money and make phone calls for them and teach them how to do phone calling and help encourage them to be brave to ask for money when maybe they don't feel like they can, and really letting them know it's like, hey, your campaign brings value to these people's lives, and that's why they're willing to donate, so be confident in that. And so I just want to encourage people like that. So that's a lot of what we'll be doing long term. And on the tour, it's more of a, what is it that I could help with on the way, right? Do you want a candidate coaching session, or do you want to talk policy and, dive into some more specific topics?
Yeah. So, that's the great thing. I mean, like for me, I know that the hardest thing for me, was that asking for money, whether it is as a campaign, as the candidate yourself or working in a campaign, that was always the hardest thing for me was asking for money. Um,
When I worked in the banking industry, I worked in call centers initially. I started off as just literally you called in to transfer money, and I would help you transfer money, right? That's where I got my start. But by the end of it, I was managing the escalation departments where people would be yelling and screaming at you. A lot of all of it is having somebody coach you and teach you how to deal with that. And because not everybody is going to be able to be natural and ever do it. And maybe that's not the right type of job for you. But for the people that is the right job, it doesn't mean you can do it day one. You just need to be taught how and given a soft landing spot and encouraged. And that's what I did as a corporate trainer, was really teach people how to have those conversations that maybe they were scared to have or didn't know how to, address a concern or a rebuttal or, or whatnot. So, but I don't want to work for big banks anymore. That doesn't bring me a lot of joy. So let's apply those skills to liberty and, help save some lives.
Well, I think that's a very important thing that we're starting to see within libertarian circles is the real push to kind of professionalize our ranks rather than, just, hey, run a campaign and here's the paperwork, fill it out and be on your way. We're starting, the LPs doing their regional training. You're doing what you're doing. There are a lot of people out there really trying to professionalize the ranks, and everyone we can touch and teach how to do, whether it's, affiliate support or whether it's candidate support, whether it's being a campaign treasurer, I think is so important for the movement moving forward, so that we have competent campaigns, competent treasurers, competent affiliates to put that message out there. And I think the more that we do this stuff, and the work that you're doing is so important, the better we're going to do as a party.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why libertarians don't win, right? We've all heard it. We've all,
Mhm.
probably hurled an insult or two in our time,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Even on it, right? Um, the one of the truths of the matter is we just don't have enough. We just don't have enough help, right? We're just outnumbered, right?
Sure.
And if we're being honest with it, we're all just playing defense the best we can right now, right? We're being bullied by statists, and doing the best we can to defend ourselves. So, um, my background in jujitsu and wanting to empower weak people to be strong against the powerful, and is a lot of where my heart for this movement comes from, and to just serve the party in that way, just to help us become stronger, so that we can push back in bigger ways. My campaign, I want that to be the low bar, right? Like for me, that was just like, let's push as hard as we can, do as much as we can, learn as much as we can, so that the next person can come in and kick Anthony's ass and do better than I ever did.
Mhm.
Because if we do that, my kid gets to be free, right?
Exactly.
It's that simple, right? The more people that do better than me, the more the likelihood our kids are free. So that's why I'm out here doing this, and want to pass on some of the lessons on fundraising and doorbelling and political strategy, and that doesn't mean that my way is the right way or the only way. I mean, in fact, I try to stay away from saying that. It's more of a like, well, here's what I did, right, and this is why I did it, and can you take a portion of what I did and apply it to what you want to do, right? And if not, then okay, cool. Right, no
Yeah,
big deal.
absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your campaign. You ran a campaign, got over 300,000 votes in Washington State. Like I said, more votes than Joe Jorgensen and Gary Johnson in 2016 pulled together in Washington State. So, um, what were your main issues that you're running on in that race? That was for insurance commissioner.
Yeah. So I ran for the statewide position, insurance commissioner, and there was a lot of thought that went into it, to deciding that. And for me, my background was in insurance, um, and so I was credible in that. I can talk insurance inside out and backwards. Is what I did for a career. My wife still does it for a career. So it was a topic that was easy for me to understand the finer points of it, instead of just broad brushed libertarian free market stuff. I could actually get into the nuts and bolts, and also explain it in a way that the average person on the street can understand, and sometimes help them understand why something's hurting them, and they didn't even realize it was hurting them, and then providing a solution to that. So, but I was able to run on a handful of things. I was running against the longest standing career politician in the state. That almost nobody likes career politicians. So
Yeah.
that one was gifted to me on a silver platter. But I talked about removing tax. I talked about taxation as theft, but I equated it specifically to taxes on insurance and healthcare, and how medical devices are taxed, how medicine is taxed, how doctors and hospitals are taxed, and how light bulbs and bed sheets are taxed,
Mm.
right? And all of a sudden that macho flash, taxation is theft, which we all like to use from time to time. I was able to use it in a very specific way, and draw a comparison that people would all of a sudden be like, well, no shit, that's theft, right? Why are they taxing the hospital beds that we die in?
Yeah.
Right. And that was people on the left or in the middle and on the right. Um, I talked about ending certificate of need laws, and then COVID hit. Right. And
Yeah.
so I was given basically my entire platform was then handed to me on a silver platter and said, hey, look, I told you this was broken, and these are the solutions to it. And oh, look, a couple of them they're already doing. You see how they're getting regulations out of the way and letting things quicken up. Oh, but did you see that customs is holding things back, or the FDA is slowing down testing,
Mhm.
right? So I just talked healthcare and insurance reform, and I talked about solutions that were not abolish Obamacare, because that's all the Republicans had to offer, or Medicare for all, because that's all the liberals had to offer. So I was able to provide tangible solutions on a day in and day out basis on actual issues in yes, Washington state and all over the country that people valued. I'd leave meetings, little coffee shop meetings with 10 or 15 people, and I'd be helping people save money on their auto insurance on the spot, right? Whether or not I got elected, we helped people. So it was really a great experience.
That's awesome. Like you mentioned, in the middle of it, you are suddenly hit with the pandemic, and it does hand you some great campaign issues. You're big on medical freedom, so tell me what does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, during the lockdowns and stuff, I actually didn't even talk about COVID or vaccines or anything, because it was that was such like low hanging fruit. I wanted to get into the nittier-grittier stuff. I let the Republicans complain about some of that kind of stuff. But, post-COVID here with, the vaccine passports and a lot of that stuff coming to fruition, I have transitioned to really pushing back against that stuff very heavily, because there are already, medical, erosions of our medical freedom all over the country, sure. From, what kind of medicine you can and can't take, right? The taxes that you pay on that, having to get a prescription, right, and get permission, right? That's part of medical freedom. Licensing for doctors, right? The state, threatens medical doctors, with license review boards and stuff if they don't toe the line of whatever the government's, chosen issue of the year is, right? They've revoked medical licenses for, people that maybe seek alternative medicine, right, or methods. And with the pushing of vaccine passports, we're seeing in France where they're basically saying, no, you have to, by law, you have to show your papers to go into buy movie tickets or and such. And so for me, this erosion of freedom in all aspects of our health, right? The thing that should be really basic, like freedoms, right? The idea that, how you take care of yourself is really your business and nobody else's, right? It's not just about vaccines or doctor's licenses. It's really about the whole issue and how it's all tied into each other. And I think libertarians, we have a huge opportunity here to set ourselves apart and really paint the bolder picture, or the broader picture of how all this is interwoven into one another and how one issue leads to the next. Because we all know that the Democrats and Republicans are going to just pick and choose, their side of it, right? That like the whole my body, my choice thing for the Democrats and stuff, and then the Republicans are hate that, but now they want their medical freedom, but they want to check your if you have a dick and balls or boobs to for what bathroom you go into, right? Like both sides here are picking and choosing how they're eroding medical freedom and privacy, just basic privacy to it's none of your fucking business.
And that's a scary thing that people that our messaging should definitely be highlighting is how powerful the government is to affect the erosions of your liberty. Like, they talk about how if you don't get the vaccine, perhaps review the passport, or if a doctor rebels against doing procedures or is doing procedures, they could take away licenses. I mean, it's not just the professionals; it is everyday people are going to get impacted by these things.
Well, and people are seeing it now. So the scary stuff we used to talk about, right? Of a libertarian 5 years ago said, hey, we should, probably abolish medical licensing. It shouldn't be up to the government who gets to be a doctor or doesn't get to be a doctor. Now all of a sudden sees the state of California, taking away medical licenses, right? Depending on how they treat patients. And and how the doctors are being forced to put masks on, and how many patients they can see, or worse, what type of services they can provide. What are essential treatments and what aren't essential treatments, right? I heard stories as I was campaigning through COVID where kids' arms would be broken and they'd be in a cast for an extra 3 weeks or 6 weeks because they weren't allowed to go get a non-essential service of removing a cast. Right. Or worse, So there's an opportunity here to where those folks that have been consistent on this for years now have an opportunity to kindly say, hey, look, we told you about this, but let's not worry about that. Let's worry about, how we fix it so it never happens again.
Exactly.
And then, or at worst, people that are new now have a chance to be bold and be like, let's make sure this never happens again. Because it should never happen again, and we shouldn't ever take a stance of anything short. And Spike Cohen used a term when I was his tour manager. I heard this term over and over, and it's really stuck with me. He used the term the lever of power, and that's what a business license is, right? It's a lever of power, right? It's a control point that they're using over the lives of peaceful people to say what kind of work you can do. And if they don't have that control point, they can't deem you essential or non-essential because you haven't given them that authority. When you sign a business license, you're being coerced, of course, but you're essentially saying, okay, I'll follow your rules, right? We need to remove ourselves from that consent, right? That authority that they have over our lives. And so we have a chance now to talk about that with medical freedom and the vaccine passports for travel, for schools, for public schools. The fact that, if you decide, you don't want a COVID vaccine or you can't go to a public college in Washington, right? Even though there's a decent chunk of that money comes from state taxes, you're no longer allowed to go to public college in Washington if you don't get the COVID vaccine. Right. And so the Washington party's thankfully been bold on this and said, hey, these things aren't right. That power shouldn't exist. And we need to continue that. I just saw the Arizona party today put out I don't know what you would call it, a resolution, I guess, regarding violations of the Constitution and individual rights regarding vaccine passports. So thank you, and shout out to the Arizona Libertarian Party for being bold on this and really leading, because what people do with their body is really one of the core principles of libertarianism, right? And it's not just what people do; it's the privacy to do it is a right. So we need to protect that privacy, and no matter what your stance is on the actual use of a product.
Yeah, and on the most fundamental level, you can't claim self-ownership if you can't decide what does or does not go into your body.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I did get the vaccine because I do travel quite a bit, and I do have some comorbidities. But I'm not ever going to advocate forcing anyone else to get the vaccine. That's their choice, and I can't say I'm an advocate for freedom if I say you have to get the vaccine, or we're just going to tie you down and jab it into your arm. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and both sides need to usually stop calling the other side stupid, right? Like, I have anti-vax friends, right? Lots of them actually, and they I chastise them at times. Like, they say it's child abuse to vaccinate your kid, and I'm like, you know what? You're doing the same thing that they're doing, right? They're trying to say it's child abuse if you don't vaccinate your kid, right? So here it is both sides trying to impart their judgment on one another. And like, it's one thing to, pass judgment for your how you want to, do your own life. But like, you've got to be careful about doing that to others. And that's how the more we focus on not doing that, I think the easier it'll be to coexist with one another and to want to peacefully live together. Right. And so we have to want that peacefulness amongst ourselves.
Yeah. So let's circle back to your training. You're doing affiliate training as well, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I originally cut my teeth in the Libertarian Party as a chairman of the Snohomish County Libertarian Party, which I helped start back in 2017, right after the Gary Johnson campaign. And I think we tripled it in membership in like the first year. We went for about like 20 to 60 members, and had some exposure in newspaper and local radio, not nearly what I wanted to accomplish and not nearly what I think it can accomplish here in the future, but we did good. So just helping talk, teach people, again, what worked, right? What did I do that helped us be successful, and what would I have done differently? And there's plenty there as well. and doing a lot of that. So, a lot of what I'll be able to do on tour is just go into a county organization and give a speech about that and do Q&A and just be a friend. Really, it's not about like Anthony, some, big name, Spike Cohen, Dave Smith, Justin Amash, speaker here. It's just, I'm just a guy that wants to go in and help, and teach you what I've learned. But a lot of it can be done remotely as well. Right. So just coaching to, if you've maybe started a county chapter recently, your state affiliate encouraged you to start a county affiliate and you're like, well, all right, Bob, I'll do it, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm happy to be on the phone with you. Right. And to, help you, hold your hand through it, because if I'd had a little more of that, maybe we could have done more too. So
sure. I mean, actually, we just had our first convention this weekend for my local affiliate that we started here in the Eastern Panhandle. So
awesome! Congratulations!
Yeah. So, and I always say, when attend libertarian events, win libertarian prizes, and those prizes are jobs and responsibilities.
Yep.
So, I'm the vice chair of the new organization, and looking forward to growing the affiliate here. And that's my big thing when I got on the LNC is, we need to build local affiliates, because local affiliates are where you get your volunteers, you can get your candidates, you can get really, it's just kind of almost like a show of force. Like, oh, there's a libertarian presence in the county, or the counties in our case, that are doing good things, doing good works. And seeing us do volunteer efforts to sell the idea of voluntarism, actually sells the message of liberty, that maybe we're not handing out palm cards or anything, but we're doing the stuff that is libertarian. And
that's awesome.
For me, being on the affiliate support committee, it's just how do we get more affiliates in the LP? That's, to me, the greatest thing that we can do for our long-term success is to form affiliates. So if you're out there listening and you don't have a local affiliate, reach out to me, reach out to Anthony, and we'll help you start one.
Yeah,
we can even help you with the there's an affiliate in the box program that we have now for the LNC through the LP store. So to get you off the ground, so you can table events and do outreach. So,
well, a lot of what I want to do is provide ongoing support. Right, I'm taking a bit of a career development, personal development type coach mentality to it. And instead of being on the board, right, or being the manager of a candidate, right, is to rather just be an ongoing support and just be there to field questions and to provide advice on a weekly basis. So I'm creating these kind of 6-month training packages that are less hand you a book and tell you how to do it, and more like, let's be here for you and get you through it, and get you from A to Z, or, maybe A to D, or, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, so that you can, get a couple wins under your belt, so you can feel good about what you're doing. So you can, find a couple, 5 or 6 other people, so you don't have to be the one person doing everything. So you can go to the website, theroadtoliberty.com, and you can click that and schedule a consultation, so to speak. And that'll be a lot of fun. And then we're going to do the same thing for candidates. I think there's a lot of synergy between this movement and candidates and affiliates. I think it all feeds into one another, a little bit of a life cycle. But ultimately, I think this party needs inspirational people. I think inspirational people are going to bring others in, going to get them committed to doing things and to wanting to show up, because political activism is often not fun. It's often an arena that you would otherwise not be in if you had what you wanted. So being inspired is a way to actually get people to show up. And once the campaign's over, helping keep those people in the party, right, and getting them committed, helping them find their next project to help, right. So a lot of what I'll be doing now with my candidates, that I hope to be working with, is pivoting some of the resources I created through my campaign and handing it to them, right? Giving the people that supported me, other local candidates to support, things like text banking or phone banking. You could, help a candidate in a different state, right? And with that type of thing, or if you're good at graphics, right, you can help somebody in another state. So there's so much help, the idea of helping one another that we could be doing right now, and just sharing our resources and our time and our energy, and just really, I think empowering one another is going to be a huge component of maximizing our efforts, right?
Yeah.
With what little we have, we need to make as big a splash as possible.
Yeah, it would be nice to get some kind of, one-stop shop that, says, if I'm looking for a graphic designer, or I'm looking for a speech writer, or I'm looking for whatever I need for my campaign or for my affiliate, you can go and plug it in, and you get a recommendation of 5 or 10 people.
Yeah.
It's like a Angie's list of LP activists,
Yeah, and I think there's a few things out there like that already. I think some of the professionalism you talked about earlier, I think, that doesn't always mean suit and tie people. So there are some of you that are like, fuck professionalism, right? Like, yeah, I get it. We can go be audacious. We can say fuck the state and, wave your dildos, whatever the hell. I don't care. But what we can do is we can, professionalize the efforts that we're doing, right? And how we're attacking it. We need hundreds and hundreds of paid staff members all over the country. I'm talking county chapter, state affiliates, candidates, right? We need to be fundraising enough to pay those people, to bring them in. We need to have dozens of, speech writers and editors and graphic designers and stuff, because being a candidate is not the same thing as being candidate staff. Number one, there's a big difference between being the candidate and shaking hands and giving speeches versus, running data on the back end. And those things are both different than just being a libertarian, right? Having the right ideas doesn't necessarily mean you know how to run a campaign or how to be a candidate. That doesn't mean you can't be, or you don't have good ideas about how to be. But they are different. And you learn that when you get involved and you actually try to build something instead of just, maybe talking about these ideas. And, and not everybody wants to go out and build, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to help bring an apparatus together that allows for those people that, at least want to be a cog in the wheel to show up. So that's some of what the website will be. I'm frustrated, like many people are, with Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of thing. I've never been censored, really. So I'm not too worried about being deplatformed yet. But I also understand that eventually it probably happen. So, my website is part an effort to take myself off of their network and to create my own. So there's going to be public forums on there to talk about libertarian ideas, both outwardly as I travel, right? My trailer's branded with libertarian stickers and stuff. So I get to talk to people all over the country about libertarianism. I wear branded t-shirts, messaging t-shirts, rather, not so much branded as more messaging. And I get to engage people. And then I can, tell them this, hey, go check this out, meet other libertarians. But then within that website, there's also going to be forums specifically for county affiliates and candidates, so that you can talk, with other, staff members on other campaigns and say, hey, what service are you using for yard signs this year? Right? Where did you order your business cards from? Or, does anybody have a Canva template for XYZ? And to really just provide a platform for people to get together and offer help to one another. It's not going to be a one-stop shop by any means. That's not what my intention is. My goal is to just offer another resource and another way for people to connect. And, hopefully it'll do good.
Sure. We had a question from the audience. How do you personally combat the anti-conservative, the official Libertarian Party's seen the last 4 years? So I guess anti-conservative talk within the Libertarian Party.
I just make sure I'm as equally anti-government across the board as humanly possible, so at least it doesn't seem like I'm being hypocritical and just picking one side over the other. I can't remember who, I think Scott Horton said this, and if I remember right, and he said, you got to beat the left at the left and the right on the right. And so for me, it's not about being anti-conservative or anti-liberal. It's about how we can take, some of those things that they value and show that we're better at it than them. Right. That's what I did with my campaign for insurance commissioner. I'd go into Republican meetings and they'd say, hey, Anthony, why aren't you running as a Republican? And I'll be like, well, you guys haven't done anything to fix healthcare over the last 40 years. So this is what I'm going to do. And, you're welcome to vote for me if you think these ideas are going to make your life better. So it was less about being anti-conservative as it was, pro my ideas. So I try to focus on that end of it personally.
Sure. And like for me, I think that we hold everyone to account when they make the libertarian positions. So I would say that most of our platform within the left side has come to not completely to fruition, but we have much more gains on those things than we have on the economic liberty side. And that particular, really does fall on the feet of the Republicans, who have been in power for, so many years during the last 25 years and didn't do the small government things that they promised when they were elected. So we hold them to account. And if that does scream anti-conservatism, I think that's the question that you need to be asking conservatives is, why did you guys fail at that so spectacularly?
Yeah, and I think we can all address, how should I say this? I think the party needs to make sure it's always, making an effort to also at least seem like they're attacking both, right? Whether we are or we are not, right? If people have a perception that we are, like we aren't, right? Then let's listen to that. Right. If our members are like, well, you're to this or you're not enough of this, like we're a membership based organization. Right. So we should be taking feedback. I'd love to see more, intentional effort to honor everybody within the party as best as possible, and not just, who gets elected and what sides, got the power, blah, blah, blah. Right. And I don't really want to get into all that. But like, I feel like, we complain about representation in government. And one thing I always try to do, whether I'm sitting on a committee in the state of Washington or I'm serving as a rep, like a at-large representative or something, right? That's a lot different than Anthony as a candidate, where I decide my message, right? And I decide the X's and O's about what's going on. When I was serving as chairman, I asked what people wanted, and I tried to provide it as best as I could. Yeah. Right. No matter what it was. So like, for example, we just hosted a convention out here in Washington. And we raised $17,000, almost $20,000, wow. Somewhere between $17,000 and $20,000. And, the first thing I did as convention committee chair was send a Google form to all of membership saying, what would you like out of convention? Right. Instead of just me planning it and making it what I wanted, like I reached out and I took as much feedback as I could, and then, did the best we could. Right. It's not that it was perfect by any means. So,
well, I mean, you raising $17,000 to $20,000 at a convention. That's successful. So,
we usually lose money on conventions. A lot of state parties do. It's not cheap to get a speaker out, right? Even if they're a free speaker. Right. Yeah. Just to fly them out and pay their hotel, you could pay $500 or $1,000 or so, we got a lot of free speakers to come out. We got a free venue and we priced things well. And we had a lot of a fun event, but I think it wasn't just my planning by any means. Right. The pickings are ripe in Washington right now for a huge growth, and it's great. But I try to always take the heart, and I hope the LNC does going forward. And our communication staff and our candidate staff and, all our different staff members, always go into it with an eye of trying to serve everybody the best you can. Because we don't want to become what we hate. Cool. Right. In government. And it's so easy to forget that simple principle of like, it's like, well, it's easy to say, well, you can't make everybody happy. and like, well, did you even try? You know, and
Did you ask
I
the
think we
questions?
should do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ask the questions? Did you reach out? Yeah. I mean, those are simple things that you can do to you're not gonna yeah, you won't always make people happy, but the more effort you make in trying to do it, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about votes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes like it is that is what it is, right? Like it's a yay or a nay, and you know whatever. But just the overall mentality of like make sure that we're serving and serving and serving here within this party, because I think when we do that, it's more peaceful. And when we do it on a mission, which is why I'm doing this tour right now, and this this specific effort to teach and to coach. Um, is I think when we have a mission, we're not arguing as much with one another.
Hmm.
We're not as angry, right? We're all focused and we have a goal, right? And we get a lot done,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of prosperity involved in those efforts. So, if you're looking for some prosperity in your libertarian life, and you want to help me on my tour and help with some planning, and I could use volunteers here too, just like a campaign, right? It's a lot of work running a tour and doing outreach. Or if you just want to bring me into your county or your state affiliate for some coaching, or maybe you've got a candidate that you really support and you're like, man, this John guy over here in Indiana is a great candidate that, if John could get some extra help, right, John could do great things, right? Get me connected to those people. I'm doing all this for free for the county affiliates and candidates and stuff, because I want to help this movement. I am done letting letting any ounce of freedom pass me, get stolen, if at all possible. I'm going to push back as hard as I can for as long as I can. My wife is 100% bought into this. This is the life that we're going to live for the foreseeable future. So help me help you, and let's get some events booked. The website's also we're doing t-shirts and stuff to help pay for some gas and things like that, because again I do this full time now. So buy yourself a libertarian t-shirt, or an End the Fed t-shirt, or a libertarian water bottle, or whatnot. There's some vinyl graphics and stuff on there, and there's also a donate button. The way I'm doing this is truly libertarian. Going back to what we talked about a few minutes ago about business licensing and how it's used as a lever of power, a lot of businesses got shut down through COVID, almost all. And, I have this desire to, own a jiu-jitsu school someday. And I always wanted to do it on Main Street, wherever my town was, and, promote it and stuff. And now I'm like, well, I don't even think I could risk that. Right. I need to do it on my own property. And I don't think I can get a business license, because they'll just use it against me. Yeah. So, taking that same mentality of like, I no longer even want to associate with business licensing. I'm not starting a consulting business here. I'm not a for-hire consultant. I'm a volunteer. I'm going to help our county parties, our candidates, and our state affiliates. I'm going to volunteer my time every single day, 5, 8, 10, 15 hours a day, whatever the project is that needs to get done. And because of it, I'm also not getting an income, but any donation that gives to me is a gift, right? It's a gift from one person to another, which, like the libertarian tip cards, does not have to get reported as income tax. Exactly. So I get to work outside the government infrastructure. I don't need a business license. I don't need a W-9 or a 1099. I don't need it, income taxes or anything of that nature. I get to just work for the Libertarian Party, and any swag you buy or donations that you give on my website just go to helping me continue to do that. Right. I walked away from a job, not a lucrative job by any means, but a good job I could have had for the rest of my life, to do this libertarian thing. I've been doing it full time almost 2 years now. I make peanuts, and I'm fine with that. But I do need help. Right. I can't do this forever for free. So any donations you can give, sponsorships, if you want to sponsor a candidate and say, hey, Anthony, if you go help this candidate, I'll donate, $300-400. Like, I'll have to vet the candidate, right? I need to make sure that it's somebody that I can work with. But that's what I'm here for. So let's make this whole libertarian movement help one another. and in a truly voluntary fashion. And I think we can do great things. I think we can show what a peaceful political revolution looks like in comparison to the corrupt crony ways that the Democrats and Republicans run things. And if we can, and we can run on that too. We can talk about the dirty aspects of running campaigns, and we can expose it, because that's nonpartisan, right? We can expose the nasty underbelly of how elections work, and we can show that, hey, we're doing it differently, right? This is healthier. And that builds trust. It builds respect with the citizens and the voters. And it really, I think it, and I hope it breeds a culture of liberty.
Yeah. So Anthony, you are doing a tour. Starts when does it start?
It started.
It started.
So it kicked off July 4th. Tour dates aren't 100% set yet.
Okay.
Got a lot of moving targets, but we're looking essentially now through about November 1st. We're heading across country. The map's up there on the roadtoliberty.com. And it's got a general sense of where we're going to be within reason. I just booked a medical freedom forum in Tri-Cities, Washington, on, I believe, September 9th, right after Labor Day. And I also have a candidate training session in Spokane, Washington, booked right on the Idaho-Washington border. So Idahoans and Washingtonians can get together and do some candidate training. And we're in works, putting some together in Michigan and, Florida and so, and everywhere in between. So definitely, subscribe to the website. You can stay in touch that way. And check back, every couple of days, and and let's start using the roadtoliberty.com to help push this libertarian effort further.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to look at the where the tour is going, the roadtoliberty.com, you can follow along on his journey with his Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages there. Any other thing you want to talk about, Anthony?
I mean, man, I could talk all kinds of things about policy and whatnot, but I just appreciate you, bringing me on. It's nice to chat with you finally.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look forward to meeting other libertarians, right? That's a huge component of this for me, and creating an almost an agorist society as well, of allowing us to work outside the system and to help one another outside of the political sphere. So I look forward to meeting folks that are tuning in right now. Definitely befriend me on social media and on my website, and hopefully we can grab a beer or coffee or something soon, and have our families meet.
Excellent. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Best of luck on the tour.
Thank you.
I will probably be reaching out for assistance with our local affiliate that we just got started. So look forward to doing that. And but best of luck. Have fun. And if you want to get out there and support the tour, roadtoliberty.com. And we appreciate everyone joining us tonight. If you're out there on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, give us a like and share. We really appreciate it. Helps extend our reach. And we'll talk to everyone next week. And have a great night, everybody. Thanks, Anthony.
Be free.
Be free. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. We air every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can get regular updates on our show and our guests by following us on social media on Facebook.com/thepoliticaldeepdive, all one word, on Twitter.com/politicaldeep, all one word, on YouTube.com/Papaduke, Papaduke, on Twitch.tv, The Political Deep Dive, all one word. And on Mondays, the audio of this episode is uploaded to SoundCloud.com/The Political Deep Dive, all one word. And you can join in on the fun on Instagram.com/The Political Deep Dive, all one word. The best way to support the Liberty Movement is to join the Libertarian Party at lp.org. Give us a like, a share, and a subscribe on whatever platform you're watching from. It helps extend our reach, and we greatly appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you next Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.